I'm getting ready to do some gaming today on my Atari 2600, playing a little Berserk, maybe putting up a video for it. And I got a little something to help me. The manual for it. Nice and printed out, and you might ask yourself, something as simple as Berserk, why do you need a manual? Well, in the case of Berserk, it's a little bit different from a lot of Atari games. Most Atari 2600 games, they have a lot of variations on the play that you can set by selecting the different games. But most of them, the most arcade-like is the default. If you played it in the arcade and you want to play it pretty much the same way, well, Berserk's an exception. The first game for Berserk, Evil Otto doesn't come after you, and that really makes the game a lot simpler. It really takes away a lot from the game. So if you want to play it the arcade-like, where the robots shoot at you and Evil Berserk comes at you and is indestructible, you got to know which game to select. This manual does it. And there's a lot of people that I see that play games on YouTube that put up videos for them that pass themselves off as some sort of an expert, and they're showing that a particular game is junk because it isn't working right, when the simple fact is they don't know how to play it. And if they spent a minute or two learning from the manual, they would. If you're just showing what the game's like, you don't need to necessarily have a manual. But if you're going to try and be an expert, then you should know something about it. And I just want to point out to you that if you go on the internet and do a search for Atari 2600 manuals, Atari 2600 game manuals, NES game manuals, most of the popular platforms, you can find the game manuals. You'll find them in one of two ways. A lot of what you'll find is just the instructions that somebody has copied off the game in text, off the manual in text format. And that's usually all you need. But you can also find PDF files of game scans of the manuals, which is another nice way to have it. Really nice if you got a particularly favorite game, that's a nice way to have it. But I just want to point out to you that you don't have to choose to be ignorant. If you've got a game that you'd like to get a little more enjoyment out of it, and maybe the manual will help. If you're trying to pose as some sort of an expert when you don't know what you're doing, there's no excuse for it, because if you go online and search for most of the popular consoles, you can find game manuals. Just go to Google, and whatever the name of the console is, whether it's NES, Atari 2600, Sega Genesis, Dreamcast, search for those game manuals, and you should be able to find either text instructions or, in a lot of cases, scan files, usually as PDFs. So just thought I'd offer that little tip today.